I am making a Fabled fiendsmith deck profile. I'm currently just trying to figure out ratios of what I like, as I want to make it a Fabled deck with a fiendsmith engine instead of fiendsmith deck with a Fabled engine. But I'm only missing 2 cards for this, which I'll go over what those cards are when I get to them. Which, with this version, I would just add them into the deck and not take anything out. But starting off with the monsters, which I believe it'll all be, yeah, starting off with the Fabled monsters, I play 2 copies of the Fabled Chawa. The Fabled Chawa can be special summoned from your hand by discarding a Fabled monster. That's pretty much it. Next, because it is a Fabled attack, I play 3 copies of Fabled Lurry. Lurry is just a free special summon whenever it's discarded. The only time Lurry won't be able to special summon itself, I believe, is if it's a discard for cost. Believe that's the only time when Fables don't trigger. Because I believe they work the same way as Dark World. Next, I play 1 copy of Fabled Cat Sith. The Fabled Cat Sith I'm only playing 1 of, because it's good going second, but really bad going first. Because if it's discarded, then it has a mandatory effect of destroying one. I can't remember if it's a card. Okay, when it's discarded, you target a face-up card in the field and destroy it. It's not an optional thing, unfortunately. So it's mainly in here because it's good to have for losing the die roll, but bad going first. That's pretty much the only thing. And similar to Lurry, I play 3 copies of Fabled Cerberus just because it is a free body when discarded. Only, unlike Lurry, Cerberus is a level 2 beast tuner. Next, I play 3 copies of Fabled Cruise. Fabled Cruise, when discarded, lets you target a level 4 lower Fabled in your graveyard and special summon it. I believe it can target level 4 lower except for another copy of... Okay, no, it just can't target itself. I thought it was except for Fabled Cruise. Next, I play 1 copy of the Fabled Abonk. Fabled Abonk has the effect that... If this card is in your graveyard, you can discard a Fabled monster, and if you do, special summon this card, but banish it leaves the field. You'll use this effect of Fabled Abonk once per turn. I might put the Fabled Abonk to 2. I'm not entirely certain about that yet, but for now I'm trying just 1. And next, I play 3 copies of the Fabled Behemoth. The Fabled Behemoth has the effect that if this card's in your hand, you can discard 2 or more Fabled monsters, including this card. And if you do special summon a Fabled Synchro monster from your extra deck, whose level equals the levels of those discarded monsters. And then I know it does more than that, I just don't remember. Let's see. If a card or cards are sent from your hand to the graveyard while this card is in your graveyard except in damage step, you can special summon this, or you can banish this card to special summon a Fabled monster from your hand. You can only use each effect of the Fabled Behemoth once per turn. The main thing I like this card is just because you can discard it and any number of other Fabled monsters to then summon a Fabled monster from the extra deck equal to those monsters' combined original levels. This could also be able to trigger their effects when discarded, like discard this, Cerberus, and Lurry. You can summon something like Fabled Raging, and then get 2 free summons as well. Next, I play 3 copies of Fabled Raven. Fabled Raven, just once per turn, lets you discard any number of cards from your hand to increase its level by 1, and it increases attack by, I think it was 200? Okay, increases attack by 400 for each discarded card. But, of course, the attack increase doesn't matter, as you immediately want the level increase and the discarding of Fabled monsters. Next, I play 1 copy of Fabled Kushano. Kushano just has the effect that while it's in the graveyard, you can discard a Fabled monster to be able to return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Next, I play 2 copies of Fabled Ganashia. The Fabled Ganashia is just a free summon when it's discarded. However, it is banished when it leaves the field. It's really the only thing with it. Next, I play 3 copies of Fabled Marcosia. Fabled Marcosia has the effect that if this card's in your hand, you can discard up to 2 monsters, except for another copy of Fabled Marcosia, to special summon it, as well as it has to not be Marcosia and a Fabled monster, at least one of them, to then special summon this card. And then if Marcosia is discarded, you can add a Fabled spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. And the other thing, I doubt it matters, but should it ever matter, it also gains 200 attack for each monster that you discard when you special summon it by discarding 2. And then lastly, for the Fabled monsters, I play 3 copies of Fabled Grimrow. Fabled Grimrow has the effect that if you control a Fabled monster, you can discard her to then be able to add any Fabled monster from your deck to your hand, except for another copy of Grimrow. Then for the Fiendsmith monsters, I play 1 copy of Lacrima, the Crimson Tears. Lacrima has the effect that it's always treated as a Fiendsmith card. And then, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a Fiendsmith card from your deck to the graveyard, except for another copy of itself. During your opponent's turn, if this card is in your graveyard as a quick effect, you can target 1 Fiendsmith Link monster in your graveyard, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, special summon that monster. You can only use that effect of Lacrima once per turn. And to finish off the monsters, I play 3 copies of Fiendsmith Engraver. Fiendsmith Engraver has the effect that you can discard it to add a Fiendsmith spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You can target a Fiendsmith Equip card you control and a monster on the field, send them to the graveyard, and then... See, I feel like I'd skip something. You can target a Fiendsmith Equip card you control and 1 monster on the field, send them to the graveyard. If this card's in the graveyard, you can shuffle 1 other light fiend monster from your graveyard into the extra deck to then special summon this card. Or deck or extra deck, I should say. And then you can use each effect of Fiendsmith Engraver once per turn. I will go ahead and say it now. If it seems like I'm not understanding some of the effects, it's because I have yet to actually play this deck against anyone. This is just the prototype build, and I figured why not post on YouTube and potentially get some feedback on it. But that is it for the monsters. For these spells, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith Tract. I want to play 3, but I only have 2 copies. I want to play 3, but I only have 1. But Fiendsmith Tract lets you add a light fiend monster from your deck to your hand, and then discard 1 card. All the Fable monsters in this deck are either Beast or Fiend, with the vast majority actually being Fiend, so you can actually use this, grab some of the more important Fables, and then you can... I know most people use this, grab Lurie, discard Lurie, summon Lurie. But this actually is very good in the deck, as it searches almost everything. And when I said I would add 2 cards, it would just be 2 more copies of Tract. But then it also has the effect that you can banish it from your graveyard in order to fusion summon a Fiendsmith fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. You'll use each effect of Fiendsmith's Tract once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Stairway to a Fabled Realm. When this card's activated, you send a Fabled monster from your deck to the graveyard. Or you can send. And then that's pretty much the only relevant effect it has, because this other effect requires you to have no hand and your opponent to have a lot of cards in hand. As when your Fabled monster battles a monster, you can activate Stairway's effect in the damage step to increase your monster's attack by 200 for every card your opponent has in their hand greater than what you have. So if you have none but your opponent has 5, your Fabled monster now gains 1,000 attack. And I think it has another effect, I just do not remember. Let's see. Okay, its last effect is you can target a Fabled monster in your graveyard, discard 2 cards, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. That's a really important effect. I remember it had an important effect, I just couldn't remember what it was, because it's been a while since I last played the Fabled deck. And then lastly, for the spells, I play 3 copies of Fabled Realms Revival. Fabled Realms Revival has the effect that when it's activated, you can set a Fabled spell or trap from your deck, except for another copy of Revival. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when you synchro summon a Fabled synchro monster. And then once per turn, you can discard a Fabled card to activate one of 2 effects, where you can draw a card, or you can special summon a Fabled monster from your graveyard or banishment. And you can only use each effect, or you can only activate 1 stairway effect per turn. Moving on to the traps, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith in Paradise. Fiendsmith in Paradise lets you target level 7 or higher light fiend monster you control. Send all cards on the field to the graveyard that are not that monster. And then, if your opponent special summons a monster or monsters while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card, send a Fiendsmith monster from your deck or extract to the graveyard. You'll use each effect of Fiendsmith in Paradise once per turn. I just like this card as being able to just nuke the board. And then lastly, for the traps, I play 2 copies of Fabled Treason. Fabled Treason lets you target a Fabled monster in your graveyard, 1 face-up card on the field, and then discard a card. And if you do, you then special summon that targeted Fabled from the graveyard, destroy the targeted card, and then, well, you already discarded the 1 card. And you'll activate 1 Fabled Treason per turn. That is it for the main deck. The only other thing I could think of changes to the main deck would be take out some of the beast monsters for more light fiend Fableds. But for now, this is what I like. For the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith's Requiem. Requiem has the effect that you can only special summon 1 Fiendsmith Requiem per turn. And then, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can attribute this card, special summon a Fiendsmith monster that from your hand or deck. And then you can target 1 light, non-link fiend monster you control, equip this card from your hand or field or grave to that monster. You control as an equip spell, it gains 600 attack. You can only use each effective Requiem once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith's Sequence. Sequence has the effect that during your main phase, you can fusion summon a Fiend fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling materials from your grave into the deck. And then you can target 1 light, non-link Fiend monster you control, equip this card from your field or graveyard to that monster you control as an equip spell. With the following effect, your opponent cannot target the equipped monster with card effects. And you can only use each effective Fiendsmith sequence once per turn. And lastly, for the links, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith's Agnamundi. Agnamundi has the effect that's quick effect. You can target 1 light, non-link fiend monster you control, or not control, in your graveyard. Special summon it, and if you do equip this card you control to that monster as an equip spell with the following effects, where it gains attack equal to the total link rating of all link monsters equipped to it, times 600. And then if the equipped monster attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Usually I'll only summon this when the main fusion monster of the deck is destroyed, because that just makes it a lot bigger. And then next, I play 1 copy of Triple D Wave High King Caesar. Caesar has the effect that if your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach a material, negate the summon if you do destroy that monster. Caesar can do that more than once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Necroquip Princess. Necroquip Princess is usually summoned to make this. But Necroquip Princess has the effect that must be special in the extra deck by sending the above monsters you control from the hand or field to grave, a monster equipped with a monster card, and a fiend monster card. You can only control 1 Necroquip Princess, and then if a monster or monsters is sent from the hand to the graveyard to activate a card or effect, you can activate one of these effects. Equip one of those monsters as cards in an equip spell, it gives it 500 attack, or draw a card. You'll use this effect of Necroquip Princess once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith's Lacrima. That's kind of blurry. See if I can't get it a little more into focus a bit. Nope. But Fiendsmith's Lacrima has the effect of just acquiring 2 light fiend monsters. But monsters your opponent controls lose 600 attack. You can only use each of the following effects of Lacrima once per turn. Can't read from that distance. But it has the effect that if this card's fusion summoned, you can target one of your light fiend monsters that's banished on your graveyard and add to your hand, or special summon it. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle one other light fiend monster from your graveyard back to the deck or extra deck to inflict 1200 damage to your opponent. Then lastly, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith's Desiree. Fiendsmith's Desiree has the quick effect of you can negate the effects of a number of face-up cards on the field up to the number of league rating of all link monsters that are equipped to this card until the end of the turn. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle one other light fiend monster from your graveyard into the extra deck or extra deck to then target 1 card on the field and send it to the graveyard. You only use each effect of Fiendsmith's Desiree once per turn. This is kind of the Desiree and Caesar are kind of the main control cards of this deck, where the Fabled cards are mainly just made to just be able to swarm the field and then start punching really hard. Speaking of, I play 1 copy of Fabled Gamagen. Fabled Gamagen has the effect where your opponent cannot target other Fabled Synchro monsters you control with card effects. You only use each of the following effects of Gamagen once per turn. Once per turn, if this card is Synchro summoned, you can special summon a Fabled monster from your hand or deck, and then this card is sent to the graveyard. You can draw cards equal to the number of Fabled Synchro monsters you control, then discard 1 card. I remember when I first read that effect, I thought, oh, so if I summon 2, my opponent just can't target Fabled Synchro monsters, which I liked that, but then I realized getting 2 of them out is kind of hard. I was about to say it was really hard, but not as hard as I was about to make it out to be. Next, I play 2 copies of Fabled Ragen. Fabled Ragen has the effect that when this card is synchro summoned, you can draw until you have 2 cards in your hand. Which usually, if you're summoning this, you don't have any cards in your hand. Next, I play 1 copy of Fabled Andraith. Fabled Andraith has the effect that when synchro summoned, you can draw 2 cards and then discard 1, or your opponent can send a discarded card to be able to negate that effect. However, if your opponent discards a monster, or if a monster is sent from your opponent's hand to the graveyard at any time, including to negate its own effect, you can then target that monster in their graveyard and special summon it to your field with its effects negated. And you can only use each effect of Fabled Andraith once per turn. I believe it also has... Okay, nope. I was thinking it also has some kind of revival effect, but it doesn't. Next, I play what I call... They remember building an entire deck around this card, being Fabled Dark World. I play 1 copy of Groza, Tyrant of Thunder, just because this card looks like it's a Fabled monster trying to be a Dark World monster. But Groza, Tyrant of Thunder has the effect that during your opponent's main phase, you can target 1 effect monster they control, discard a card, and then negates effects. And you can apply a following effect. You discard a monster to negate that monster's effects until the end of the turn. And then if a fiend monster is what you discard, you can activate one of the following effects, where you can make it so that it can't be destroyed in battle, can't be destroyed by card effects, or your opponent can't target it with card effects. Then next, I play 1 copy of Fabled Valkyris. Valkyris just lets you discard a fiend monster to draw another card. And then lastly, I play 2 copies of the deck's boss monster, of the Fabled boss monster, which is 2 copies of Fabled Leviathan. Fabled Leviathan has the effect that during the main phase, as a quick effect, you contribute any number of Fabled monsters, and if you do, take control of that many face-up monsters your opponent controls, which that's the main reason why they have the swarm effect, because it's just able to non-target yoink. And then Leviathan also has the effect that the only downside of that effect is it takes them, but then negates their effects. And then this card's in your graveyard. You can target 1 other Fabled card in your graveyard, or turn this card to the extra deck, and if you do, add that target to your hand. You'll use this effect of Fabled Leviathan once per turn. And the only reason I'm playing 2 is because at my locals where I'd play this the most, there's there's a few people that play Kashtira, and Unicorn is incredibly good, so I'd rather them not get rid of the one levelizable that's in the extra deck with Unicorn's effect. But that is it for my Fabled Fiendsmith deck profile. If you have any ideas of how I can improve it, any ideas for decks XD face each other, or decks XD made in the future, feel free to comment down below if you're still watching. I always read the comments. Thank you for watching.